Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 146. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for Weekly Recap Newsletter 194. So just a quick summary of things that happened this past week in Star Atlas. The community team did two events. One was an Atlas Brew, where the co-founder and chief product officer, Danny, went over some things on the product map and the Sage Editor Suite. That was on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the Economic Forum with Chris, VP of Economics. I'm not sure what his title is. I don't know. They don't put titles in Discord. So anyways, he went over some changes they're going to do to the economy. So that was a lot of information in both of those. So that's pretty much what I'll be talking about today, along with kind of my thoughts on the state of Star Atlas and my playing Star Atlas. But before I get to that, just want to mention a couple projects I have going on in the Star Atlas ecosystem. First, of course, is my website, intergalacticherald.com. It's a great resource website. It's got guides, beginner's guides, links to other content creator videos, directories of content creators, tools, guilds, also recaps, the weekly newsletter recap, but also any AI summaries of those two community events that I'll be talking about. And then I do have, if you want to sign up for Discord announcements from the Star Atlas team, you can have those sent directly to your email. So you can check all that out at intergalacticherald.com. Also do have a Star Atlas merch store at intergalacticgear.com. Not a great selection, kind of been on the back burner for a number of reasons, but you can still take a look at it. If you're looking for a Star Atlas mug, there's some there. Also, I do have a merch survey you can fill out. And then lastly, I'm trying to get together with other Star Atlas gamers who aren't interested in joining guilds to nevertheless start our own community called intergalacticcoalition.com. It'll be a place where you can hang out and chat. It's a little different interface than Discord, hopefully more asynchronous, and you get email alerts when information you're interested in is updated. So check that out at intergalacticcoalition.com, and I do have an interest survey there. So let's get into the main things that happened this past week in Star Atlas. As I mentioned, the community team did two events. First was the Atlas Brew, as they normally do, at least my time, Wednesday mornings. Most of it was filled with a kind of demo from Danny, the chief product officer. But they did, before they got into that, they did go over the product map, and this was something I had brought up. I can't remember if it was the last one or two ago, that was posted in the Foundation Room, where Danny kind of organized all the different parts of the products that are occurring there. So again, if you listen to that one, you got most of the information, but it was still nice to hear him describe it. And so I pulled out just a couple things that were highlights for me. One was, he said that one thing that they're trying to do, again, with the economy, Zinc at the base is the blockchain, then the economy, and then the two different kind of product focuses with the UE5 software, and then the web or mobile with Sage. He did mention that future developments will have UE5 elements that will impact resolving things that might be occurring in C4. And that was the first time I ever heard of that. Now, we got the current one where if you're playing in the shooter game, you can earn, ink, which is a thing needed for some of the crafting recipes. And that's fine. But this was kind of more talking about literally that, there might be some sort of faction conquest of territory or something, and then you might have to kind of zoom down, and then there's a UE5 component. So I think we're starting to finally see at least how the pieces can be put together, where there will be interaction between both of those, not just for the economy, but actually perhaps, you got to fight a battle or something with crew in order to take over a territory or something. Again, could all be still speculation, but still was interesting here. The other thing that he kind of mentioned, and I haven't heard this in a while, but it was something I thought a few years ago was really a pivot of how we think about Star Atlas. In fact, it was related to when I had an interview with Jose, the lore writer, and he was really emphasizing crew, and this was before the crew members came out. Since then, when crew did come out, their only kind of real utility has been for crafting. Again, there's lots of things about names and visuals and rarities and things like that, but kind of, again, nothing happened. And again, I know they were talking about a crew app with Move to Earn, which unfortunately, if I remember correctly, the algorithm to track the movement could not be made bulletproof, so people couldn't game it. But anyways, Danny alluded to that. And again, this just kind of, you got to be reminded of where their vision is, but that the real actual experience, he said, was the crews interacting with the ships, not the ships And again, it was nice to hear because, again, back to what I mentioned a couple years ago, we've been so focused on ships as the thing, but we're people and we will interact as our crew members. And the crew members get progression. And yeah, sure, the ships can have progression too, but the ships are what you have. And again, I think when we talk about things like claim stakes and these crafting hubs and all that, yeah, again, you might have a fleet and a whole bunch of crew and they're all doing things. But again, you're still going to have you as a crew member and you're going to interact with your ship. You might go to different ships and things like that, as opposed to this sort of just I don't know, we'll call it strategic general looking at above and an RTS type of thing. So again, it was really nice hearing that because again, that, I don't know, it just feels, I mean, I want the general overview, or excuse me, being a general on the battlefield, moving ships around and fleets and staff. But ultimately, I think there's an aspect where someone might just have a single crew member and a single ship, and that could be an incredibly enjoyable experience, not having to have all these things I think we're just used to in the last few years that everything's about ships. So anyways, again, that was kind of a nice perspective to have brought back, especially from one of the co-founders who's leading the design of the product. And then the last thing he mentioned was that Fleet Command, which for people who may not have been following along for a while is the kind of taking the web version that is Sage now and taking all those things where you can do mining and movement and transport and scanning and move it into UE5, and that thing will be called Fleet Command. He did mention that idea will be the first full cross-platform code base, and I think, again, have to translate because I'm not sure what that meant, but kind of what meant to me was that then they can go to everything. So this could be the web, the traditional UE5, maybe there's a mobile version of UE5, I'm not sure. But again, that will be the thing that can go everywhere. So PCs, consoles, things like that. So again, it was nice hearing all of that. Then the rest, or the majority of it, was going over the Sage Editor Suite, SES. Saralis is great with acronyms, but anyways. And so he was showing some of the updates he had made to the suite. And what he did mention again, that this is a tool. It's designed as a tool, but he really enhanced it to be sort of showing how he's actually editing the map that where it's coming with C4. So that was really cool. And he went into a lot of how he was building different things using vibe coding and things like that. So it was a great demo, great to see all of this stuff, and I'll comment more on it in a bit. So anyway, so yeah, that was the Atlas Brew. Then on Thursday, the Economic Forum occurred. Chris, the head of economics, mainly was talking, but Michael Wagner, CEO, was there for clarifications if needed, though didn't feel like he actually had to clarify too much. So anyway, so what they mentioned was that they are very well aware of that the economy has many pain points, and they mentioned 3. Now this could be for players, but also for the development team. And one was that no primary ship sales in USDC have occurred in, I thought he said years, which, wow, but I guess, yeah, I mean, the price is high. So, and no new ships have come out, so there's no reason. But anyways, they also mentioned that the token sales, which the team has to do, so selling Atlas or Polis, is hurting community morale. And the ways to earn and play in Sage are very limited. So those were the kind of pain points related to the economy. So I guess a lot of discussion was done, and it sounds like they're doing this, but it also sounded like they were trying to test to see how the community thought to what they're calling the open market operations. OMO, again, acronyms. But anyways, and there's some slides available in a PDF. I'm not sure it was posted in the chat, but I'm not sure how you get to the past chat. But anyways, so what the goal is that the Star Atlas, or the developers, will sell ships in USDC from their remaining inventory. So what I think this means is there are ships on the marketplace, and they are the original price, and now they're going to start selling those, but they're going to drop the price. And that's where it got really technical. But again, I've said in the past, there's some parts of these economic forum that I know I'm listening to late at night, but it's just hard to take it all in. But anyways, this will be, so a way to do that, but they're going to drop the prices. Then they also mentioned they're going to do some buying of ships. Like the team would actually put orders to buy your ships. Okay. And then the goal is to reduce the Atlas and Polis liquidations they have to do. They did mention there'll be lots of guardrails, so it's not like they're going to flood the market with all the ships. They may only put up, tens to hundreds of a certain ship at a certain time. So very manual process, not just drop everything and let it go. They did mention the timeline was December, but again, it is December, so I'm not sure. And we know the team goes on winter break, so the window of December is not the full month. They also mentioned they might have new ship models available for Redemption, and that they are going to revamp the Mamba X and the Max Hawk. So they said this was basically kind of getting feedback on this, and the whole thing would be just changing and going there. So then they had a Q&A at the end, so people on the live chat could post. A couple of questions that came up was that the primary ships will be at the secondary market prices, and that's where, but a little bit higher. Again, so that, okay, I heard that, but again, I'm still not sure. Somebody asked about bots, and again, it was kind of stated that's not really a concern. If somebody's buying, they're buying. And I wasn't 100% sure that revamping the Mamba X and the Max Hog was to actually lower their requirements. But again, I'm not sure I heard that right, so don't quote me on that. So anyways, but yeah, both of these, the Atlas Brew and the Economic Forum, if you want to listen to the whole video, Star Atlas TV's YouTube channel has that. I really appreciate that those are recorded. And then if you just want a couple minute TLDR, too long didn't read, you can check out my AI summaries, audio recaps. If you're on this podcast feed, you're already getting them, but if for some reason you don't get them, you can go to my website and find those and just listen to the recaps. So anyways, so those are the two events that occurred this way. So, occurred this week. So let me go ahead and give you kind of my thoughts on that. So first, it was really cool to see the Sage editor suite. It was very cool, very interesting to visualize the C4 map. And I guess, and again, I'm not sure about this because I thought somebody said it's still going to kind of be a 2D map. This view kind of gave it a little more 3D volume, but again, not sure if that's true, that you'll actually go up or down, not just left or right, or X, Y, and Z, whatever, coordinate systems and geometry. But I have to admit, after sleeping on it, and again, I did listen to both these late last night, and yeah, it's just tired too, but anyways, I'm not sure, well, I'm not sure how this has to do with anything to do with the game, but it is their development tool. So, I mean, that's cool. And again, it might have just been getting a little sidetracked by seeing, like, well, there's a ship flying around. And again, I'm not sure if that was the intent or that was just because it can be done. I don't know. But again, as a development tool, it was cool to see. And again, this might just be something about this whole concept of building in public, because, I mean, normally we would never see this. So again, it's a tool, and they added some things to the tool that maybe relate to the tool and maybe don't, but who cares? I mean, it's still the tool. So, and I guess at the end of the day, and this has been on my to-do list for a while, and I just don't have time. I do want to take a look at this. And again, it seems like this is something going forward that if they're constantly tweaking C4, this tool, I would assume, is still available to us. It doesn't feel like this is like they're going to take it away once the thing's released. I don't know. So I'm hoping, maybe, now I'm thinking about it, maybe on my winter break, maybe I can actually take a look at this. So anyways, but overall, it was still great to see. It's always cool to see some of these things. And again, it's just my lack of time to get in and kind of explore. Next, this kind of open market operations economy change. I was very tired listening, so I'm sure I probably missed some connections there. But it seems like the main pain point, at least what I kind of get the feeling from monitoring Discord, is, again, the selling of the tokens to fund basically the development of the game is causing lots of things, and that should be changed. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense if they want to try to sell stuff to make dollars, USDC. Yeah, that's great. That's income. But, yeah, but I guess I'm still not sure why. And maybe this makes sense to make the playing Sage make more sense to have the change. Again, it could just be I was tired. So, but I'm not sure, again, why are they reducing the price of the ship sold by the team is going to make people buy ships. I mean, I could just buy them from other players. And again, I know that doesn't help the team with revenue, so they can keep funding the development of the game, paying salaries and things like that. But I'm a gamer. That's not my concern. I mean, again, it's nothing like you can't want to support the team and pay a little extra and give them that for that ship. But I'm still like, well, why do I want the ship? If, again, no one's been buying ships from the team because they were so expensive, that's one thing. But I don't know. So, again, and I've said this many times, I am not an expert on economic theory and philosophy and all that. So there are way smarter people like Chris who's doing this. So I'm not saying this isn't a good idea. I just can't. I'm trying to go with, I'm a gamer. What do I want out of this? So I am kind of very curious as a gamer. Of course, if they release new ships to craft, that's cool. The Mamba X was the one I was trying for, and then they drastically increased the requirements for that. So, and with Solana fees, I just stopped playing because there was literally wasting money and then, as I mentioned before, and then with the new Zinc, and if I waited, then I would get Zinc experience. So it's like, again, why keep doing anything right now? So, and maybe that's the whole point, that this is something that by changing these ship prices will be a technique that will make Sage more interesting to new gamers once Zinc is launched. So again, as my understanding on Zinc, to earn experience, one way to do that is to buy ships, but not secondary from the team. Okay, cool. That makes sense. And so if the price was closer to what players want to sell it for, then yeah, maybe I would. Well, and buying that ship from a player in the economy doesn't give me Zinc experience, but from the team it does. Okay, that makes a ton of sense. And keeping that price much closer to what people are thinking the price is, not the original price. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because again, I guess to make Sage more interesting to play, which is another way to earn Zinc experience, you need ships. So yeah, okay, I'm seeing a pattern, or I'm seeing a connection. So maybe, and if that's truly why they're doing this, then that makes a lot of sense. And again, if the other benefit is that those are then direct sales of the new ships to the team, and they have more money and they don't have to sell tokens, and that's a win for everybody, then yeah, it's all makes sense. But I guess I kind of end with, well, again, why am I buying a ship? So if, again, the ultimate purpose is, hey, let's make ships easier to buy from, which gives more money to the team, which then allows you to play Sage, which allows you to earn Zinc experience, then yeah, I get it. And maybe, again, this will come out next week, or, a lot of times I've said that the first announcement is one thing, but it's the brew after, or a document or something like that, or even the community posting about it. So again, probably was tired last night, but I'm like, I think this all makes sense, but I just don't. Yeah, again, I need to, bluntly, I need to know what's in it for me. And I guess if ships were cheaper, but I don't need to buy more ships. So again, maybe I'm not the target for this. Maybe it's the new people that are maybe interested in Zinc and want to get involved with that. And then to do that, they got to play Star Atlas, and to play Star Atlas, they got to buy ships. Cool. Then this is brilliant. Makes tons of sense. So we'll see. And then to wrap up, there was a little bit of a mention again about the upcoming town hall. So I thought I'd just kind of speculate about that because, why not? So they have been mentioning they will release things. So sure feels like, well, let me back. So I hope it's not Zinc. I hope it's really not releasing. I know there's a countdown. I just did my daily check and said 5 more days. So it feels like, yeah, that's going to be ending too. But in 5 days, that's, let's see, December 11th. That no promotion has been done about this next season. So I really hope that that's just something they do in January or beyond, because it would feel really rushed. And I would hope we can have a great launch of that. That, again, launch to the broader crypto market or crypto people, or, whatever. I don't know. I don't know if they're marking this as a crypto, ideal customer or if this is a gaming thing. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But what I think does look really good would be the next version of something to do with UE5. And again, they had talked about this kind of single player thing. And if that's been worked on for a while, then that seems like a great thing to release. HoloSim Chapter 2, I think, is the next one. Also feels like a really good one. They've been really quiet on that. And again, they said they wouldn't release it until they got the infrastructure more stable. So that seems really good. However, if the infrastructure is not stable and the team goes on break, well then, yeah. C4 sure feel like it should be coming, but we do know that there will be a test first. So I don't know. Maybe they release a test, but if they haven't released a test, obviously it's not going to be released. And I guess a little of seeing the Sage editor that was demoed and seeing more of a map, it feels like, again, this is still further off. But again, getting the testing going makes a lot of sense. Plus, that would probably continue to stress test the Zynq platform. But again, is that you have to have Zynq out before you can have that test on Zynq? Or again, can you test it on the test of Zynq? Again, these are too many things that we don't know as outsiders. So, but the final thing is just physical timing. So I'm recording this on December 6th. Team will break on Friday, December 19th. Pretty sure that was what was posted. So that's just 2 weeks, and that's a lot. And we don't have a date for the town hall, though that could happen almost instantaneously. They have in the past only given maybe 1 or 2 days announcement for that. So again, just doesn't feel like a lot of time to me to launch. Well, definitely not to launch anything to the general public. So again, I think a UE5 thing, that's a slam dunk. If it's ready, do it. HoloSim feels like, again, there should be some public stuff about that, or else then you're already behind. I don't know. And like I said, C4 test would be fine because that's not public. Yeah. And like I said, Zynq, I really hope they wait on that. So anyway, so that's pretty much it. My kind of speculation for what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. Or actually, what's going to happen at the town hall. And then lastly, again, my journey playing Star Atlas, haven't changed much, just doing my daily checks on Zynq. Haven't progressed very far, but again, I haven't done anything other than, I think it's just my stake polis that's accumulating. So anyway, so yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, totally open if anybody wants to be a guest on the podcast. Again, could be community members, talk about the week in Star Atlas, could be other content creators, builders, of course, any Star Atlas team members, if you want to come on and chat about anything. You can reach out at intergalacticherald.com for my contact page, or else you can reach me on Discord. Again, while you're there at intergalacticherald.com, please do check out any of my guides and directories and recaps and Discord newsfeed. If you want a Star Atlas mug, please check out intergalacticgear.com. And again, if you like to get together with other Star Atlas gamers who aren't joining guilds, please check out intergalacticcoalition.com. So again, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. That's what happened this past week in Star Atlas. Have a great week ahead.